Hi, did you hear with today's thought? It's no secret that I'm supporting Donald Trump in the 2024 election. I really have no other choice. He's going to be the candidate. He's the most conservative. Well, if the other alternative is Joe Biden, let me give you one little story just today, because the mainstream media does not report anything, or they bend over backwards not to report anything that's going to hurt Democrats. And the issue that hurts them very, very much is unlawful immigration. This morning, actually right now as I'm recording this, 4,000, the day before you're seeing this vlog, 4,000 unlawful aliens have already come are streaming over the border. Fox Business News and Fox News, I assume, I just watched the Business Channel, they're reporting it. So they're showing the drone shots of all these unlawful aliens coming over. That's just one example of the damage that this far left administration is doing to this country. So that's one reason why I have to support Donald Trump. Another reason is that what's being done to him, he's being persecuted just because, well, just this extreme hatred of Donald Trump. I've never seen this regarding any other Republican candidate in any election I've ever seen in my whole life. It's really disgusting. And I can't, if anybody, and this goes for the people who are running against him, the Republicans who are running against him in the primaries, the same, I have a problem with them too, because they're condoning this treatment of Donald Trump, and so I'm reluctant to vote for any. I don't want any of them to be the vice presidential candidate, and I'll get into reasons why probably in a future vlog. But I just want to make the point I want to make, or I'm going to make, is that even though I'm supporting Donald Trump, and it's reluctantly in many cases, as I said, I can't let this persecution go by. Merrick Garland is testifying today also, and he's being grilled on his double standard. Sweetheart deal for Hunter Biden. No sweetheart deal for Donald Trump that I can see. There's obviously two, as the phrase goes, two tiers of justice in this country right now. I can't stand for that either. But that does not, now we're getting to the point, and sorry if I took too long, that does not say that I don't have problems with Donald Trump, because I do. For instance, on trade, he's a complete idiot. I'm tired of hearing him talk about how much the hundreds of billions of dollars he's collected from China for his, because of his tariffs. That is totally, now I support the tariffs on China because China is an enemy, and we can't, that's a whole other vlog too, to all the reasons why. Just China is an enemy, and so you have to use tariffs against them. But for our Donald Trump is talking about a 10% tariff on everybody, on every country, and that makes no sense. Tariffs are paid at the border by the recipient. That's it's a sales tax. It's a tax. It's what we used to collect taxes before we had an income tax. And so the idea that China, it's just insane. And the other problem that I'm going to get to right now is there's a saying, you probably heard it, if you're a hammer, you think every problem, if all you have is a hammer, then you think every problem is a nail. And the problem with Trump is his hammer is making deals. He's a real estate investor. That's all he knows is making deals. So every problem he sees, he believes can be solved, that there's a deal to be made, that he's just going to get, he's such a great deal maker. He's going to get the parties together and make a deal and just solve the problem. Well, literally overnight. In this case, Ukraine, which is what I want to get to today. He said many times, well, let's go right to the article, because I'm going to quote from the article. I'm going to link to the article too, by the way, so you can read the whole article. But here's the headline from the New York Post. Zelensky encourages Trump to release his supposed supposed Ukraine peace plan. Quote, he can publicly share his idea now, unquote. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky urged former President Donald Trump on Tuesday to release details of an apparent plan that the 2024 Republican presidential frontrunner claims would end the war in Ukraine, quote, within 24 hours, unquote. Trump, 77, I always wondered about that. Whenever they mention somebody talking on an issue, they have to put their age in there as if that has anything to do with whatever they're talking about. Nothing to do with Trump. I mean, just in general, you see that Gene Schwimmer, 71, said, who cares what my age is? Except for me, of course. Trump, 77, has widely bragged in several interviews and campaign events that if elected president next year, he would lead peace negotiations between Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin and have the conflicts resolved within one day. The ex-commander-in-chief, however, has refused to provide details about the approach he would take to end the nearly 19-month-long war. Quote, he can publicly share his ideas now and not waste time not to lose people and say, my formula is to stop the war and stop all this tragedy and stop Russian aggression, unquote, Zelensky told CNN's Wolf Blitzer. Quote, and he said how he sees it, how to, I think he means, and Trump could say how he sees it, how to push Russians from our land. Otherwise, he's not presenting the global idea of peace, unquote. Zelensky, 45, you got to get his age in there too. Zelensky, 45, noted that any peace deal that sees Ukraine giving up land to Russia would be a non-starter. Quote, so if the idea is how to take the part of our territory and to give Putin, that is not the peace formula, unquote, the Ukrainian leader said. And that is the crux of the matter, really. Trump has this, Zelensky, I watched an interview early in the Ukraine war when the Russians had just invaded, and there was an interview on Russian TV, or not it was a discussion, like a panel discussion, and one of the panelists was a former Russian general, and he said right out, he said Putin made a mistake because the Ukrainians, they will fight to the last man to stop Putin. Of course, this general was forced. The very next day, he was on Russian TV, or he made a statement to the press. He apologized. He said he was wrong. Of course, Russia will be victorious. But he was right the first time, that they're going to fight to the last man. And that's what Trump doesn't realize. And that's the question somebody should put to him. Say, okay, Mr. Trump, do you understand that there is no negotiated solution? If we stop, for instance, Trump does not want to provide any more aid. So as I said in an earlier vlog, the Ukrainians are they have a deadline. They have to win the war or show substantial, be near victory by the time Trump, if he wins the election, takes office. So they have until January 20th, 2025 to either win the war or show such substantial progress that Trump, it would be politically impossible for him to stop providing aid. If none of that happens, then he'll stop aid. So and the Ukrainians will be left alone. And Trump, he should be asked, he should be challenged. Do you understand that if you stop aid to the Ukrainians, they'll all die, or all the military age men will die. And they should also, this is something that the media, as far as I know, is not reporting, but there's a website, the Institute for the Study of War, that gives daily updates of the state of affairs in Ukraine, especially the state of battle. But the Russians have been they've been kidnapping the areas that they control. In Crimea, they have been forcibly transferring Ukrainian children to Russia. The idea is to Russify them. They're trying to wipe out, I guess you would call it, cultural cleansing. You have ethnic cleansing. This is cultural cleansing. They're trying to destroy Ukrainian culture and have all the Ukrainians be like Russians, those that survive a war if Russia wins. And so he should be asked that. But this whole idea, this is what Zelensky is doing, and I'm on Zelensky's side on this. He's saying, if you have a plan, Donald Trump, then you can, say the... Instead, don't refuse to say what your plan is. Trump is saying, well, I have to wait till I'm president. It's a secret because it'll ruin. Well, like as I said, he believes everything can be solved with a deal, and so it's a deal. He doesn't want to reveal his position ahead of time and scotch the negotiations, or that he says that he can, solve the Ukraine war in 24 hours. But nothing stops him from, I'm sure if he wanted to, if he called, I'm sure he can call Zelensky, can get in contact with him, and that Zelensky would take the call, and he could confidentially, I'm sure Zelensky would not publicly disclose anything that would help the Russians win a negotiation, and run the plan by Zelensky and see if he would accept it. And Zelensky has said, so in other words, here's my plan, and you won't have to give Putin an inch of land, and Putin will accept this condition somehow after invading Ukraine and hundreds of thousands of Russian, I believe it's up to 100,000 by now, Russian soldiers dead. Someone can check, and it's a lot of dead Russians. Let's just leave it at that. But the idea that even the two would meet, or I don't know what, shuttle diplomacy or something, bring back Henry Kissinger. That's it's just crazy. But the idea, in my opinion, it's a crazy idea. But what Zelensky is saying, and this is what Trump, are you so cruel and are you so heartless that you can stop? You have a plan that would end this Ukrainian war, all this killing within 24 hours. Why? How many Ukrainians, and Russians too, but how many Ukrainians are you willing to see die between now and the election over a year, more than a year from now, because you don't want to reveal your plan now? How many are you willing to let die? And I would love to hear Trump's answer. So I just want to be clear. I'm supporting Trump. I do have problems with Trump, and that is he's great domestically on economics, but foreign affairs and trade, he's a disaster. There's no other way to put it. He's a disaster. And well, I hope this vlog wasn't a disaster, but disaster or not, that's my thought for today. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and, see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.